Well, hello everyone. Alejandro J. Tornato here. I'm the founder and CEO of Tornato Speaking, Leadership, and Coaching LLC. And it is my privilege, to bring and launch the conversations with influencers, but not just conversations with influencers. These are conversations with influencers 2.0. So we are taking those conversations to the next level. And talking about level and talking about high level, I am so delighted. I am so happy and thrilled that on this first episode, I'm having someone who I've known right now for almost 2 years. For a year and 7 months. We have been collaborating on a fantastic project, the coffee hour with Jose and Alejandro that we aired once a month. And even greater things are coming along as a result of that. But that has been a tremendous experience. So it is my privilege, to have on our first conversation with influencers, one, in my opinion, one, and in the opinions of many others, as a matter of fact, one incredible entrepreneur, one incredible thought leader, servant leader, and influencer. And this person is my dear friend and colleague and business partner. No one that I have the greatest pleasure in welcoming. This is Jose Escobar. So, Jose, so glad that you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I am honored to be guest number one on this 2.0 conversation and just being with you in another room for another purpose that still continues to add value is exciting to me. And I'm just thrilled to be here and let's have a chat.
Excellent. One of the things that I want to ask you, and I don't think that in all this time I have ever asked you this question, and is you are, in my opinion, you are an extremely successful entrepreneur. You are very creative in the things that you do. And I just want to ask you, were you born? I want to take you a little bit back into your upbringing, because I am intrigued. Were you born in a family of entrepreneurs, of people who are business owners? Where did you get this kind of inside of you, this desire, for doing what you're doing? Who were your models as you were growing up?
Well, they say the primary educators of a child is their home, the parents, right? And the school system is supposed to supplement that. Now, where I got a liking and an interest in entrepreneurship was at home because I didn't grow up necessarily immediately, I guess you could say, in a family of entrepreneurs, but over time it became that. And then I grew up still at the very influential ages of between like 7 years old and beyond. I saw my parents in the entrepreneurial space for many years. So, for example, when my parents, just to be a little transparent, my dad came to this country when he was like 19, I believe, and my mother was still in Guatemala with my two older brothers at the time. She was 17 years old. And he came to this country, started from the bottom. When I say the bottom, I mean like a dishwasher, and then he was a bus boy at a restaurant, and then building houses and construction, and then he moved up to be a server, and then a assistant manager, and then a manager, and then eventually all the way up to a more popular chain, Ruby Tuesdays. He was a regional manager on the East Coast, and then he went from there to owning his own restaurant. So he worked his way up the ladder with little money, little to no money, and not knowing zero English, coming to this country at a young age, just looking for an opportunity and a dream, and pursuing that American dream. And sure enough, eventually, after 2 years of working real hard, he sent money to my mom, and she came down with my two older brothers. And eventually, shortly thereafter, I was born. And I was born in Washington, D.C., so I'm first generation here in the U.S. My younger brother was born in Baltimore. And as that continued to progress, My mother was cleaning multiple houses every day, 3, 4 houses every single day. And same situation, no English, and little education at the time. And they were both just looking for a way to work hard. They were willing to work hard and figure out a path and raise 4 boys, 4 young boys at that. So I was in an apartment. I was 4 boys in one room, two double beds and or bunk beds, and one thing we never lacked in the house was love and faith and morals and values. We always felt like we had what we needed. We weren't rolling in it financially, but we definitely weren't like lacking a meal. We had what the basic foundational things that we needed. And fast forwarding, eventually, after many years of my mother like cleaning houses, multiple houses a day, she had a lady who was asking her, she was for like years, a couple of years, she was pursuing my mom to join Jafra Cosmetics. And Jafra Cosmetics, for those who don't know, is like Mary Kay. It's like a Mary Kay kind of company, network marketing, cosmetics. And my mom kept saying, no, 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 it's not me. I'm not a salesperson. It's not my thing. I don't like, it's too complicated, right? And sure enough, the lady was badgering her for years, a couple years, until one day she finally felt the need to do something extra because they needed more money, right? More opportunity. So she said to the lady that she confided in, there was this lady who was like her friend and mentor, that she was cleaning one of her houses, a very nice lady, rich lady. And she said to her, listen, my mom said to her, listen, I'm looking to maybe start this business with this lady and get into that space and try to create opportunity. What do you think? And the lady, and I don't know the exact verbiage, but it was something along the lines of, listen, don't worry about pursuing something like that. Just stick to what you're good at. And what you're good at, what you will always do is clean houses. That's just kind of your calling. This is your ticket in life. And you just need to lean into what you're already good at and what you have your hands on, and don't pursue anything else. And now what her motives were, who knows? Maybe she just wanted her to be around for her, working for her for a longer period of time. Who knows what it was? But that rubbed my mother the wrong way. She came home, talked to my father, pissed off, and said, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I want to do it. And then my father, of course, supported her in that decision. And that was all she wrote, because my mom ended up building a heavy 6-figure business that eventually got her to this place of residual income. And then from 8 years old and on, I never saw my mom clean another house. I never saw her have a day job. My dad ended up with a restaurant, and they ended up pursuing the American dream and bought $1 million home as I got older. And now they're retired and living life. And my mom still is receiving significant income from this business she built 30, 40 years ago. So that is the power of having a dream, being willing to work hard, seeking opportunity. And when it's not there, creating the opportunity, and living in the world of entrepreneurship. And I grew up in that house. I saw the transition. I saw what happened. And I said, that is what I want.
My goodness. I mean, I am so glad that we are having this conversation, because now I can see a little bit deeper and with better clarity where you came from, and what a great story that is. And one thing, Jose, I heard it so many times. We have to get away from people who are telling us that there is no potential for us to do anything. And no, just lean into what you're doing. And perhaps what you're doing is something temporary, but that's not what you want to do. I mean, you have a bigger dream, a bigger thing that you want to do. And people come and says, no, 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 that's not for you. I mean, no, just keep doing this. I mean, be small, think small, do small things. And I think that those are the people that we need to run away from very, very fast. But let me ask you this. I mean, how important are the right kind of relationships to achieve success in life? The right kind of people that you need to surround yourself with in order for you to keep growing and to attain the things that you want to attain in life?
Someone said in 5 years from now, you're going to be in the following place based on 3 things: the books you read, the people you hang out with, right? And where you spend your money.
Yeah.
And key in there, if you noticed, is the people you hang out with. You know, birds of a feather flock together. If you hang around five broke people, you're going to be number six. And if you hang out around five ultra successful people, you're going to be number six because it's stickiness. Whether you think you're influenced by others or not, we're all influenced by others, you know, for the good and the bad. So it's hypercritical and super important that we are around the right people. Not and when I say the right people, I mean there's people out there that are going to make you better, that are going to make you rise higher, that are going to make you think bigger, that are going to inspire you and motivate you and equip you and keep you sharp and keep you excited about life, right? And positive. And then there's people that are going to bring you down.
Yeah.
They're going to be like the people that are always negative, that are always dumping garbage in your mind. And they're not helpful, and they're critical, and they're complainers. They criticize, condemn, and complain all the time, but don't change a thing, right? And those are the people that you want to be away from. And some of those people are close to you, believe it or not. And if they're family, in a lot of cases, you don't want to necessarily get rid of them. You just want to limit, what you do there, because you have to protect your mind. You have to protect your heart, your spirit, your physical self, all of these things. And then there's people that don't make a difference. There's the people that are in your life that don't necessarily make you better, but don't necessarily bring you down, and they're just kind of there, and those are the people that that's cool, and there's nothing wrong with hanging around people that are not necessarily on the path of where you want to go. It's just you have to really, really be super careful about who you allow in your life on a consistent basis, because again, it's going to dramatically impact where you end up and your lot in life. Because again, I don't care how great of a leader you are, if you're hanging around the wrong people, you're not going to get to where you need to get to.
Excellent. Let me ask you this, because I heard this statement many times, that especially, I mean, for people who have a family and who are married, that behind every successful man, there is a successful or a supportive wife, and vice versa. I mean, there is support. So I haven't had the chance yet, or the honor, I mean, to meet Katie, your wife, in person. I know that just recently, I mean, she gave birth, I mean, to your, what is that, 6 or 7? Five, no, 5, because you're 7 as a family. So your fifth child. But when you started your entrepreneurial journey, how was things at home? I'm sorry for getting personal here, but this is what Conversations with Influencers is all about. How supportive was your wife, I mean, in what you wanted, in the vision that you had?
Yeah, she's always been very supportive. I think it's important that when you are going to pursue a long-term relationship, you got to vet out the person properly to make sure that they're a good fit, right? Are they going to be supportive? Are they going to be there when I need them? Are they going to be there in the good, the bad, and the ugly? Is the personality somebody that I can mesh with, where we add value to each other, and sometimes we offset each other in a very healthy way? Katie and I are complete opposites. She is completely behind the scenes. She brings me great ideas, ideation. She says, "Hey, have you thought about this? Hey, look at that. And by the way, I saw that so-and-so commented on that. You might want to respond to that." So she's always like engaged behind the scenes and nobody would ever know. She's like the silent business partner in the CLA. Like, she's in the CLA group. She watches everything, but she's not engaging in anything because she's perfectly content. Her vision has always been, I want to be a stay-at-home mom and homeschool my children. That's been her dream, and that's what she wanted to do. And she wants to do other things like travel the world, and she wants to go do charitable work in different countries and stuff like that. And those are the next level dreams. But the initial dream for her was, I just want to be a stay-at-home mom, raise my kids, and homeschool them. And I'm grateful to say that we have achieved that, because now this school year she's going to do that, and that's the next stage. But she's been very supportive. She definitely gives me a lot of what I need, and I vetted that out from the very beginning. I vetted that out from the very beginning. We did the whole premarital counseling and all that good stuff because I needed to know and she needed to know that we were going to be willing to go through that stuff.
Sure.
And we're all going to go through stuff, and we all go through things, right? And she's been just great. So she's definitely the secret weapon behind everything that I do in terms of support and all that.
Excellent, excellent. I love that. Now, another thing when it comes, I mean, to family is you have children, and you have what is the name of your son who is doing a lot of sports? And I've seen recently a post that you put on, I think, on Facebook, where you and your son got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and you went into the gym in your house, in your garage, and both of you started working out and developing that early morning ritual mindset. So what prompts you to that? I mean, is that you want to of course model that behavior to your son? um, do you see him following in your steps? I mean, to become an entrepreneur. I mean, when he grows up, I mean, what is that the vision that he wants to have, and you guiding him along the way?
So it's super critical that the desire to be great, the desire to pursue our best self, and to tap into our inner greatness, right, begins in the home. It begins in the home, as I said, just like the education. It begins in the home with the example, the leadership of the parents.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I strive for is making sure my children, as often as possible, catch me in the act of excellence, in the act of being in my office, reading books, being in my office, building an empire in business. And whether people tell me no, or whether people cancel, or whether people criticize me or condemn me or complain, or whatever the case may be, or say anything on social media about me that's not favorable, this is life and this is business, and that's why not everybody's an entrepreneur, because you need rhino skin to pursue that path. So I am to me, it matters a lot to set the bar, set the example of what it is to work hard, what it is to be disciplined, what it is to be laser focused, what it is to pursue entrepreneurship, and what it can allow you to do. A lot of things have changed in terms of the stuff that we're doing these days, more opportunities to do things that we want to do, because there's two businesses now with a couple other moving parts under those businesses, like merchandise and the book now, and one-on-one coaching, separate from the Connected Leaders Academy and the Entrepreneurs Bookshelf. So a lot of stuff is happening. So that is just one example. Waking up at 4 a.m. to go work out in a gym here in my garage now, that I built up, is just one example of what it is to give that example and to be in the trenches with him. And I am very confident. There's a certain level of, he has to develop his own will too. I can't be there all the time, like, hey, you can do this, this, this. Like, he needs to see it, experience it, taste it, and see some tangible results of his efforts. And that's going to continue to develop his will to the point where he won't need me to be like, hey, we need to do this, because it's ingrained in him that this is what it takes to get to that next level.
Definitely.
And there's other things that I do in the house with the other kids and as a family that are about that, all about that, is making sure that we are giving that example of leadership to where they're going to take that and run with it in all the areas in their life that matter to them.
Sure. Now, I know that you love books, that you love reading, that you have the mindset of an explorer. You're always thinking, exploring, looking for other opportunities. When did that hunger of reading and gathering knowledge and wisdom from books, I mean, when did that start?
So I've always been a reader since I was a kid. I really enjoy reading. When I was like a little kid, I don't know, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 4 years old. Sorry, no, 5 years old and 10. I wrote stories, like actual stories. I'd get a sticker. I used to love getting stickers, and I'd get a sticker and I'd put it on the top of the page, and it might be a sticker of a snowman. And then I think of a title that goes with that sticker, and I would put the snowman. And then I would write a story about the snowman. Once upon a time, and just write my own little story with my poor, 5-year-old handwriting, however I could, or 6-year-old, whatever it was at the time. And maybe it was 7, I don't remember, but it was like young enough to where I could write. As soon as I could start writing, that's kind of when I started writing. And I have like a big thing like this still of like stories that I wrote as a child that I just felt drawn to. And then reading, of course, went hand in hand with writing, because you develop the desire to write when you're reading or when you're being read to, and that's why we read to our kids all the time, because kids learn to love books on the laps of their parents, and that's really what it's all about. So for me, it was a matter of reading since I was a kid, and then eventually I strayed. I got into the party life, and I kind of got distracted for like a little over a decade, from like high school to like somewhere in like the 28 age range, something like that. And I didn't really read much during that period, but I always had this desire to pursue personal development and personal growth. I started in Amway back when I was 18 years old, and I built a semi pretty big organization of 75 plus people, and got to the platinum level, which is one of their main levels to start off to kind of pursue things. And that's where my whole vision of like, what, I can do this entrepreneur thing, because I was following in the footsteps of my mother, who did Jafra Cosmetics.
Sure.
And then I was involved in another network marketing company called Premier Financial Alliance, PFA, Premier Financial Alliance, which is like it's the opposite. It's like the competitor to what is this company called, Primerica.
Oh.
And I was selling life insurance for like 10 years there, simultaneously while being in the banking space and doing other things. But I've always had like a little splash of entrepreneurship somewhere along the line, pursuing my skill sets and developing my skill sets. And but the thing that always kind of like had the glue to all of these things was reading. And reading is super, super critical to your growth. Now I read a book a week. I'm actually on the trajectory of 60 books this year, and that's kind of like the number I want to hit this year, 60 books. And so yeah, reading is a big part of who I am today. I've always been intrigued by reading. I've always done it, and now I'm just doing it on a much higher level, I guess you could say.
Well, in the time that remains, I got two last questions for you. The first one is, what is next on the horizon for Jose Escobar?
Well, I'm going to be in 2 anthology books that are coming out very soon. I think one of them for sure this year. The other one might be early next year, but they both might be this year. That's the plan. One of them is The Art of Connection, Volume 3, because I was in Volume 2, so stay tuned for that. And the other one is undisclosed. I can't mention it as of this moment, but I believe you know as well, but that's a secret. We talked about in a restaurant with Danica and Raul at one point, which is still on the horizon. So that stay tuned for that. But I'm going to be a part of another anthology there. And then I also have the summit, the CLA annual global summit. It's going to be our first annual inaugural in-person summit. And I say global summit because we're going to have people coming from all over the world. We're talking 1,000 people are going to be in attendance. It's going to be in my backyard of Maryland. It's going to be October 13th, 14th, and 15th of 2023 next year. So stay tuned for that. We're going to have some amazing things there. The Connected Leaders Academy is going to grow to 1,000 members very, very soon. As of today, we're at 208 members. And then the Entrepreneur's Bookshelf. That's going to scale right now. I'm my morning, evening routine mastery program. And I have my book that I wrote off of the program, Winning the Day, An Entrepreneur's Guide to Morning, Evening Routine Mastery. This launches January 6th. It's already available for pre-sale. And that's winningthedaybook.com. People can pre-order there and get their personalized signed copies now at the best possible rate. And the last thing I'd say is I have 2 other courses that I'm working on now. I have a sales course that I'm working on, which is going to launch soon. And I'm also working on another course, which is going to be on developing your own membership. Because I've had people asking me, hey, can you give me some advice on how to launch a membership? Because of what I've done so far, in 5 short months, over 200 members, 11 countries, 34 states, coast to coast with a CLA tribe. So people are curious, how can I do something along those lines? So I'm developing a course for that as well. So those are all the things that are next on my horizon at the moment.
Excellent, excellent. And the last but not least question is this. I mean, with all this experience that you have accumulated, I mean, and I tell you, I heard it so many times, there is no overnight success. I mean, I think I remember one time John Maxwell, one of my mentors, I mean, he used to say, everybody asked him, wow, I mean, you are an overnight success. And every single time he used to say, no, if they knew the amount of work and the number of years that I had to spend to become an overnight success, most people would not want to be overnight successes, because being an overnight success is a myth. I mean, it takes hard work, it takes time, it takes determination, it takes persistence, grit, everything. I mean, so and not many people are willing to do that and to spend that. But the last question that I have, with all your experience, what is one thing that you would say, or what is the one thing that you would advise young people who have a desire for entrepreneurship or solopreneurship? What is the one advice that you would give them that would guide them along that journey?
It's very simple, and it's advice that I didn't take myself for quite some time, because I wanted to be a perfectionist. I wanted to have the confidence. I wanted to be in position. I wanted to make sure I had the resources. I wanted to make sure people would support me. I wanted to make sure all these things. The one piece of advice is take action. Just execute. Just execute. I have this here.
And that's your word of the year.
That's my one word of the year for 2021, and this led to 6 figures. My one word for 2022 was monetize, and this led to a separate 6 figures. But focus. So it all comes down to taking action. Nothing happens until you take action. So if you want to start a business, don't worry about all the logistics. Don't worry about who's going to support you and who's not going to support you, and what are people going to say, and am I ready? And just create a plan, put it on paper, because a plan is not a plan until it's written down, just like a goal, right? Execute on the plan, create a mess, and clean it up along the way. Learn from your mistakes, rinse and repeat. And this is how you become a success, because the most successful people in any room are actually the biggest failures, because they've had the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to give this a shot, and they learn as they grow, right? So take action. That's what I would say.
Excellent, excellent. I mean, it could not be more on target. And so there you have it, my dear friends and audience. And whenever you get to watch this session, I have learned every time that I meet this man. I mean, I keep learning, I keep growing, I keep expanding. And so will you if you watch this conversation with this great influencer. Jose Escobar, thank you, thank you, thank you so very much for your willingness and for your time. And for everyone else, this is a great conversation, but we are not done, because there will be more conversations with influencers 2.0. Stay tuned, and until the next episode, all the very best and be well. Thank you, Jose.
Thank you.